Hi, welcome to Blueprint, the B2B marketing podcast. Today with me, I've got Olga Vazhnichaia, Digital Director at Clipadize. Hi, Olga. It's a pleasure
Hello.
having you.
Hello. Thank you for inviting.
Thanks for joining, straight from Dubai. I'd like to start by talking about some potential mistakes B2B marketers are doing. I understand you're handling many campaigns in B2B marketing, more on industrial side, but also on technologies. And do you see any mistakes that marketers make when planning their actions?
Well, to start with, I don't want to say that anyone does any wrong decisions because it's obviously different for each organization. But I would say a couple of things. Maybe the first one is that some marketers maybe put too much pressure on digital marketing, saying that it is a solution for everything. So if something is not working in the organization, they think that, okay, they will run the digital campaign and the leads or the conversions will flow magically. So as we know, especially in B2B, it takes ages to negotiate any deal. And it's just very optimistic to think that from one digital campaign or from even some, 6 months of activities, something will change dramatically. What also maybe the setting the objectives to generate as many leads as possible might be misleading as well. So, for example, if a goal of the campaign is just to generate the biggest number of leads possible, and not look on their quality or the conversion rate, what is the percentage of those leads eventually turn into customers? So this objective, I believe, is also misleading. Yeah.
So it kind of feels like it's more on strategy side, like wrong assumptions, potentially wrong goals, or like wrong, not the best business strategy, but not the execution itself, right?
I would, I would say so. Maybe to put a bit more, there are too much expectations and all wrong expectations as well. So it is better to do the homework first and understand exactly how to structure the campaign in the future.
Can you think of any hypes that are heavily overused in B2B marketing and you think that they just don't work?
Well, I'm not sure it is considered as a hype, but maybe getting as many technologies as possible without actually planning in advance what those tools are going to be used for. And
you mean marketing technologies, right?
Marketing technologies, yeah. Because obviously there are so many tools now available in marketing, and everybody wants to try as many as possible. But it is better to understand what is the objective of adopting any of them.
So where, in your opinion, are where's the true opportunity for B2B marketers, where you still see kind of, potential that could be exploited?
Well, I think B2B, how it is perceived now, B2B is all about information sharing and being educational, and basically all the content that B2B marketers produce is aiming at educating the audience and building this thought leadership, let's say. But I think a big opportunity for B2B is actually in crafting more creative campaigns. So going bold, a bit of this B2C-ish style, rather than investing in tiny, safe, let's say, campaigns. I think there's an opportunity to go big for B2B.
I see. Well, it's often said that B2B does not really play with that big budgets. I mean, the audiences are quite smaller. I mean, the win is probably bigger if you really manage to convert to sales. But considering those this limited time and budget that marketers have at hand, how do you think do you have any advice, how to best effectively plan campaigns, plan actions?
Yeah, so when I said go big, obviously, if there is a budget to do so. But yeah, I mean, we all know that sometimes clients come to us with limited resources, time, budget, or they're even compliance related constraints, let's say, that they have to satisfy. So I would say there are a couple of things that can be adapted. So, for example, I don't know if there is a problem with content creation, and it is very difficult to create content internally. Content recycling can be one of the ways to save money and time. I've actually posted about this on our LinkedIn channel a couple of weeks ago. What else? Well, if we're talking about campaigns, maybe smartly thinking about which campaigns can work better for this period of time. So, for example, if the media budget is not that large, maybe it does make sense to invest in retargeting activities to get those quick wins instead of trying to spread this budget through a longer period of time. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that you mentioned content and recycling. I see some challenge there, obviously, in the ChatGPT era that you kind of feel there is so much of it. But yeah, I mean, I could agree to recycling for sure. I think, experts love preaching about, those new things, hypes. We discussed that, but they also speak about the death of some, channels or tactics. And we hear a lot about the death of email or about a death of vanity metrics. And I wonder, what is your sense on that? Do you think email is a no-go anymore?
No, I actually think that nothing is that everything is pretty much alive and intact. Actually, I read an article, a report a couple of days ago that said that email is still the most popular channel among B2B. So it's actually more about understanding how and when to apply any of these. So, for example, of those vanity metrics that the whole LinkedIn community hates right now, but they still can be good indicators if we are trying to understand whether the campaign is performing well or not well on the short-term basis. So looking at them and analyzing them in order to optimize the campaign for better performance, that makes sense as well. Okay, probably those vanity metrics won't be helpful in any business-related decisions, but again, when we are talking about short-term adjustments, this is where we can take a look. Yeah.
Well, I see some challenge there, because obviously, I mean, I agree with you that email can still work if you've got relevant content for your audience, and it's based on an insight that you have developed. At the same time, I see some problems in the interpretation of data, and I don't know how you look at that, but if we look at open rates now, with so much mass mailing, and those mass mailings typical for the times of, let's say, downturn or crisis, the companies have installed security bots. So actually the open rates are mostly driven by the bots that are checking our emails. So yeah, that's why.
I don't know, actually for a very long time already, when there is an email element in our campaigns, I think we never recommend to look at the open rate, because I mean, yes, obviously bots and all of those things that you mentioned, but also I myself, you need to open the email to delete it, right? So it's not that you're reading it anyhow. So this is my case, for example. So yeah, you just need to understand which indicators you have to track for your particular email campaign.
That's great. Okay, so we are discussing some opportunities, things that work and don't work, and I'd like to go into the direction of thought leadership. Do you still see an opportunity there? Because it feels so much like a buzzword. Everyone is talking thought leadership, thought leadership.
No, I think it definitely makes sense, and maybe in a slightly different angle than before. So, for example, today everybody developed some sort of corporate content filter. So, for example, when you see corporate content on your LinkedIn feed, maybe you're gonna scroll it. That's why now we actually getting better results from this employee marketing, so employee promotion or boosting employees' post as well.
So the ad
because first of all, yeah.
So the ad format itself, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So when the company is promoting the posts of its employees, right? So which is great because obviously we as people, we want to connect to other people. So I don't want to connect to a brand. I want to connect to other person. And then putting this human face to the brand, which is also great. And plus this type of content helps building the different type of audience. Then, for example, can be nurtured with further content that this particular employee posts as well, right? Or another thing about thought leadership is B2B influencers, which I feel is not explored in full yet, but especially in niche categories or industries, if you're able to identify the influencer and exploit this opportunity fully, that can bring good results as well.
I see. So yeah, it feels to me like when I'm taking notes about what you're saying, it feels like content, social media, influencers, B2B influencers make sense. So it feels like a social media driven world. Let's say where the social media is like the dominant channel. How in this context website fits, the corporate website, where you have your products described and so on. Does it still, do we still need a website? And if so, how we should be using that to be effective?
No, of course, the website is a must-have. I think the website is the first step that any company should make in their marketing adventure. So this is obviously where the user learns about the product, where the most important conversions happen, and it's actually a great way to learn about your audience as well, and how they navigate to the website and what they're interested in, and then exploit it as well in the future. While social media is where now the research happens, and a lot of customers, they are trying to go to social to research about the company, to see how active the company is and what are the values, or even engaged with the company. So I think both are important. Social media to keep it open, live, and maybe a bit more personal, while the website is about the product and conversion eventually.
I see. And this would be, let's say, mobile first or a desktop one?
Well, again, this differs from company to company, and that's why it is important to track as well. I would say definitely mobile is important, even though for, I would say, the majority of our clients, it's more or less 60-70% of traffic comes from desktop. But yeah, mobile is important. I mean, we live in a world where even if you're heavy industry B2B company, you still need to have your website working well on mobile. Yeah.
That's right. Okay, we were speaking about social media, but probably we meant LinkedIn mostly because of its, everyone is there for the last couple of years. Amazing targeting opportunities, targeting by location, vertical, role, and so on. So a good channel, no question about it. I'd like to, touch upon other channels like YouTube, for example. Is it relevant, and if so, how can it be exploited for the in B2B?
The question is actually where your audience is engaged and where they are, and how they consume content. So, for example, LinkedIn is an obvious choice for B2B. But I remember a case when we started working with an engineering company, and as a part of the media mix, LinkedIn was the main channel that we proposed. But after we got access to the client's advertising channels, and we evaluated what exactly was done before and how it performed, we actually realized that even though the target audience is on LinkedIn, actually they don't spend that much time there as it seems. So this is where we moved to YouTube and included YouTube to the marketing mix as well. And this is basically how I think the process should look like. So you just need to understand who are you talking to and where are these people. They might be on LinkedIn or YouTube or Facebook or TikTok or any of those channels. And actually the majority of those people, they maybe consume content here and there. So using not only one channel, but a bunch of them makes sense. Test them and then understand which one performs better.
Okay, so I from what you said, I take it that YouTube can be a good channel for B2B marketing, but could you be more specific in terms of, let's say, formats or go-to tactics on YouTube?
Well, I would say that mainly YouTube is an awareness channel because very rarely people see, let's say, a preview video on YouTube and then they go to the website and then they convert right away. So I think if the company decides to go with this big creative idea, this is exactly the place where this can be advertised, because you have to be creative and engage with people right away in this short period that YouTube allows us to run ads for. So yeah, this for brand awareness, I think YouTube is great if the idea is creative enough.
I see, but this is related to, let's say, production of content, creative videos, advertising, and so on. How about, just using YouTube as a channel with some kind of banners? Would this be like an entry level for B2B marketers?
It is cheap, and for again to get your brand out there with a limited budget, I think it makes sense as well. Yeah.
I see. Okay, noting down, YouTube is a go-to channel. How about TikTok? I mean, so much hype around it. Is it like still a bit too early or relevant maybe?
I saw B2B companies actually achieving great results in terms of user engagement. But again, I would consider TikTok as engagement or brand awareness or top of the funnel activity, because it is very difficult to get traffic from TikTok to the website, for example, or especially conversions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So more awareness, engagement, brand preference, but nothing specific in terms of conversion. I want to refer to Gartner's report. I've seen recently how brands stopped really interviewing vendors. So let's say the amount of time spent on the interaction between a brand and the vendor has decreased over the last couple of years because the brands do research themselves kind of probably social media, as you said, LinkedIn and so on. What does it mean for marketing? What does it mean for the strategy of actions?
I think the same thing that everybody knows, but very rarely does. So it's finding the balance between brand building and short-term sales activations, because nobody wants to be chased for sales now. And as you said, when the potential customer has the need, they will find you if they know you. So the majority of people that we have in the target, that they actually don't need the solution now, and probably they won't need it for the next couple of years. But that's why it is important to invest in consistent and, again, creative brand building activities. So once the ideal target account is ready to, let's say, change their software, they will remember that they saw consistently your brand out there, and they engaged with your brand previously. They will reach out by themselves just because you were there in their feed. Yeah.
Okay, Olga. So from what you said, it feels like that there is a very narrow window that the brand is actually purchasing. It's according to this 95-5 rule. Only, let's say, throughout 5% of time, the brand is actually proactively looking for let's say, executing the purchasing process, while 95% of time, which could be a year or even up to 5 years, the brand is actually not willing to express any explicit interest, which probably impacts very much, the perspective on lead gen campaigns, because, we in B2B we often see this as one of the let's say the primary goals of marketing activities, of campaigns, and it implies that lead gen campaigns would not be the most efficient approaches. What is your view on that? And if we are forced to run, or if we really want to run a lead gen campaign, how do we make sure it's an efficient one?
Yeah, so talking about this 95-5, it is correct. So 95% of people are not ready to buy yet. That means all the brand-related activities or awareness activities need to go to a bit larger group, let's say. So extending the audience is not only cheaper, for example, on LinkedIn, but also makes sense in terms of if somebody is not ready to buy now, and they will in 2 years, again, our brand-related activities will pay off eventually. So said this, in my opinion, lead generation makes sense only at the very, very bottom of the funnel, so at the very last step before somebody is ready to buy, and when the user is actually open to learn more about the product or service, so it's not forced to them anyhow. And I would concentrate on the intent audience. So running the Google campaign, for example, makes sense, especially if the budget is not that large, or some retargeting activities that, again, we're communicating with people who already know us, know the brand, and we can push our ads to them and generate leads. Because when it's done on a higher level, let's say all those leads that are coming from ebook or articles or some reports or anything like that.
Who else, right?
Yeah. Like, why do you even need those details, right? So people just want to read. They are not interested in your product yet.
I see. Okay. And when you mentioned Google in the media mix, I understand you mostly refer to search, right?
Yeah. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, very well. So lead, it's just the most explicit way of saying I am interested and I want to buy. But we also use this notion of buying signals every now and then in our campaigns, and they are probably more implicit signal of some kind of interest or interaction. Could you decode it for us and explain how to let's say catch those signals?
Yeah, I think there is actually let's say sales related buying signals and marketing related. So when we're talking about sales, that basically means that any software that is installed on the website and gives us information about people visiting our product pages or the pricing page, or I don't know, prospect spends certain amount of time on the website even, and then automatically an email goes to them trying to convert them. So this is one thing. So people are interested, and we know that. Software tells us this. But when we are in marketing,
so this would be like reverse IP tracking, something that we can actually understand who is visiting the website. How do we, practically, how do we get this information?
Yeah, there are those tools, but to be honest, I think these days any CRM can give you the same information. So HubSpot, for example, also gives you information on the CRM visitors on the website.
I see.
Because with the reverse IP, you know that somebody is visiting from the company, but if it's not, if this person or this company, let's say, is not on your CRM yet, you still need to kind of think about ways how to get in touch with those people. But again, when a person from your CRM visits again your website, I don't know, 10 times within the past week, then for sales team it makes sense to get in touch with them. But again, talking about marketing here, we need to be a bit more creative, I would say, in a way. So for example, if you're running campaigns that go to the same audience, and then you track demographics on LinkedIn, or you even use some tools that can give you a bit more information than LinkedIn provides, and then you see that the same company and titles, let's say, engage with your content constantly, then sales team can go on their LinkedIn, they can find relevant people, get in touch with them, either by, I don't know, simple messages or use Sales Navigator. So it is a bit tricky, and again, it will differ for every company, but there is a way to track this information.
So yeah, we spoke about some practical advice for B2B marketers. So the focus was fully on the client. But if we were to reverse the perspective, and you as an expert on the agency side, could you tell me what's the best scenario and also most productive, not only rewarding personally but also most rewarding for the client, the model of cooperation? How do you think it's best to organize it to make an impact?
Client and agency, right?
Or client and expert even, yeah?
Yeah, well, when clients come to us, they obviously are looking for expertise, and for this external, let's say, marketing team, maybe there is not enough capacity to handle all the activities in-house. So this actually very rewarding from our side as well, when we have an opportunity to work with a client for a longer period of time, so we can see the impact of our activities. Because again, in B2B, the sales cycle is very long, and when somebody comes with us with a short-term campaign that we can run and we can report on, again, those vanity metrics, but since we don't see the business impact, it's a bit tricky for us to optimize it properly. But in those amazing cases when we work with clients 1 year, 2 years, or even more, and we can really see the impact, and then the feedback is positive as well, it's very rewarding.
I think this kind of connect the dots. I remember in one of your articles or speeches, you mentioned something like a death of campaigns. You were very much trying to advise the clients to move away from the concept of time-focused, short period of time-focused campaigns. Can you elaborate on that and why?
Yeah, B2B marketing is all about continuity. So all the activities need to be planned for a longer period of time. And actually, the split between brand-related and sales-related activities need to be a bit more equal in a way, because today the majority of the budget goes to those lead generation campaigns, while the brand needs to invest a bit more on the awareness level as well. So yeah, campaigns make sense, but all the activities need to be planned in advance, and we need to make sure that these are not kind of like sporadic actions, but everything is planned and goes to the same audience, so that we are sure that we are increasing the number of those digital touch points to the same audience, so that we are kind of increasing the visibility among them as well, which is difficult to do with a short-term, let's say 1 month or 2 month campaign.
Yeah, I'll keep it as a good summary or let's say conclusion of this discussion. So Olga, thank you so much. Thank you for joining, and see you soon.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.